Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshsarai of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular presentation, brothers and sisters, we do not intend for this to be long. We know that it is, again, maybe an unusual time in this particular case, being after 10:30 p.m. on the Eastern Standard Time regarding doing this kind of matter. But brothers and sisters, we want to sit there and bring this out for reasonable purposes. And that is regarding the matter of, say, meat in the matter of the culture of Israel. I've spoken on this subject periodically, and I want to, in the spirit of the Most High, speak upon this yet again. Shalom, my brother Obadiah Yisrael. This is not, brothers and sisters, based upon a PowerPoint or so forth and so on. This, brothers and sisters, is based upon just speaking and reasoning for edification purposes. In a presentation I did regarding whether or not meat was basically permissible in the culture of Israel, I cited the matter that Abel brought flesh up to eat and the fat along with it. We know in the laws of Leviticus chapter 3 that fat is not to be eaten. We know in the laws in Leviticus chapter 12 that a baby who is a male is to be circumcised at 8 days. We know that we are not disavowed or disallowed, if I may say, to, as men, even delve in polygyny if it be your choice. Like anything else, eating meat or polygyny, know what you're doing and knowing what you're getting into. We know good and well, brothers and sisters, Shalom, my brother Yirmiyahu Yisrael. We intend to, in knowing certain things, to bring things out for reasonable purposes. Recently, we've gone over the matter of Chanukah or Hanukkah, in which we were talking about how the Greek culture wanted to do the best way they can to try to rid the Israelites of their own particular way in their own particular culture. So now, what can we surmise in that? We expounded upon the fact that on the Shabbat, on the Moreh Yeshaya History Lessons channel, that not every Israelite would bring an offering up, all right? Because we're talking over 70,000 people bringing up offerings. So sometimes people say, well, if you ain't bring an offering and so forth and so on, a 4-year-old Israelite, male or female, is expected to keep the Shabbat, you, your son, your daughter. So that person wouldn't be obligated to bring up an offering, yet obligated to keep the Shabbat. So just want to point that out in that particular case there, brothers and sisters. Now, we want to expound upon a particular matter. Your particular choice that is not against the laws of the Most High God is not the standard for any other Israelite. Let's go, for instance, brothers and sisters, in the scriptures, in Jeremiah chapter 35, if you will. Again, this is not based upon PowerPoint, but brothers and sisters, we ask you all to follow along and take notes and ask questions. I'm able to see it in the Facebook chat, Yeshaya Author Danite. I'm able to see it, brothers and sisters, on Moreh Yeshaya Torah Lessons and Moreh Yeshaya History Lessons, 3 channels in which we are doing this. All right. In the timing, brothers and sisters, pardon me, Jeremiah, the 35th chapter, it goes to say here in verse 1, the word which came to Jeremiah from Yah in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, saying, go into the house of the Rechabites and speak unto them, and bring them into the house of Yah, and one of the chambers, and give them wine to drink. Then I took Yaazniah, the son of Jeremiah, and Habazaniah, and his brethren, and his sons, and the whole house of the Rechabites, And I brought them into the house of Yah, into the chamber of the sons of Hanan, the son of Igdaliah, a man of Elohim, who was by the chamber of the princes, which was above the chamber of Maaseiah, the son of Shalom, the keeper of the door. And it came, and I set before the sons of the house of Rechabites pots full of wine and cups, and I said unto them, drink ye wine. But they said, we will not drink wine. For Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, commanded us, saying, you shall drink no wine, neither ye nor your sons forever. So hold on. This right here, brothers and sisters, is right here in Jeremiah chapter 35. Do you know when you read this in your own time that the people who honored their fathers and not drinking wine was blessed? Now, we've gone over several instances in the book of Numbers and Deuteronomy and so forth in the Torah where the people were permitted to have wine. But these particular people were not permitted to have wine, brothers and sisters. So what can we gather and ascertain from that in that manner? Can anyone take their own personal understanding of something and then say it's going to be yours? Can these people in Jeremiah chapter 35, the sons of Jonadab, right, sit there and say the sons of another man, no, you can't sit there and do it either. No, you can't do that, brothers and sisters. Shalom, my lady. Shalom, Sarai. How you doing? Shalom, everybody in the chat. If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Brothers and sisters, and continuing in this and giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. Let us go, if we will, brothers and sisters, and I would like to read, if we will, in the book of Ezekiel. Thank you for that. We are going to be reading in Ezekiel chapter 44, brothers and sisters. All right? And hopefully everybody is well and will be better. It says this, brothers and sisters, because we know, brothers and sisters, about clean and unclean from the book of Leviticus. And before that, we know about it from the book of Genesis. And brothers and sisters, how do we understand that if there is already no law? How did Joseph know not to sleep with Potiphar's wife? That's the question. If there was no law in that particular case. There was a law in that particular case. You understand? So, with the matter of this, knowing clean and unclean, let's go, if we will, to Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 1. Then he brought me back the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looketh toward the east, and it was shut. Then said Yah unto me, this gate shall be shut, it shall not be open, and no man shall enter and buy it, because Yah, the God of Israel, have entered and buy it, therefore it shall be shut. It goes on to say, verse 10. No, let's start in Ezekiel 44, verse 9. Thank you for that. Thus saith the Lord God, no stranger, uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh, shall enter into my sanctuary, of any stranger that is among the children of Israel, and the Levites that are gone away far from me, when Israel went astray, which went astray from me after their idols, they shall even bear their iniquity. It goes on to say, brothers and sisters, regarding the priests. Let's go to Ezekiel 44, verse 23. And they shall teach people. Sorry about that. I want to read it precisely. We are in Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 23. And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and the profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. So what, brothers and sisters, can we gather from that? In Ezekiel, I'm going to type that part in if I may, right? 44:23, speaking about the priests, it says that they shall teach the people how to discern between the clean and the unclean. Now, with that being stated, let's go to Leviticus chapter 11, verse 43. All right, if we will. Thank you for that, family. Leviticus, we're going to be reading in 11, verse 43. And let's see what we can ascertain and gather in that particular case. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to type it into the chat. Thank you for that, family. You shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall you make yourselves unclean with them, that you shall not be defiled thereby. For I am the Lord your God. You shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall you defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. For I am Yah that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be a God. You shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. This is the law of the beast, and of the fowl, and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten. That, brothers and sisters, is right there in Leviticus chapter 11, verse 47. So we could begin to see where it says what? Clean and unclean. Let's go back as we did in the other one with the time allotted. This is not going to be a long presentation. Genesis chapter 8, verse 20. Because see, brothers and sisters, clean and unclean did not change after the course of time. I'm going to ask several questions in light of the last presentation that I did concerning this, and I'm hoping to get an answer. And it's not to sound disrespectful or anything of that sort. Anyone who cares to have another dialogue, online or offline, I prefer online at this point, concerning this kind of matter, then that's not a problem. You understand. My stance, and it's not about me, is to emphasize the matter that we just talked about. Clean, which is tahor, and unclean, which is tameh. So in Genesis chapter 8, verse 20, it says this: And Noah built an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. Now, brothers and sisters, last time we did this presentation, the burnt offering that we mentioned, brothers and sisters, when you go into Leviticus chapter 2 and 3 and so forth and so on, correct me if I'm wrong, is it or is it not eaten? Because if the burnt offering that we see like this here, that we see in Genesis, that it was offered as a burnt offering is eaten, then that means that there will be nothing wrong to eat the offering. If the burnt offering that we see in Genesis 8:20 is not eaten, that means there's nothing wrong with offering it. Here's my question. Is anything offered that is unclean, according to the standard that we see in the Torah of the Most High God? See, the priests of ancient Israel were not at first the Levites of the house of Aaron. The first priests of Israel on the human level. When you go into Exodus, it says, and you shall put the barrier that the priests come not through. In Exodus chapter 19, was the firstborn of every one of the house of Israel was the priest. Your firstborn son became a priest. When the situation in Israel happened with the golden calf, we see later in Numbers chapter 3 that the Levites were chosen to be the priests instead of the firstborn of Israel. So, brothers and sisters, these people were already inside of their priesthood. We read brothers and sisters, about what the people were offering. Here's my question yet again. Was there ever a change before the flood that we see in Genesis 7 that was called clean or unclean? Did clean and unclean change as time went on? No, it did not. And if, brothers and sisters, clean and unclean did not change from Genesis 1 to the end of the Tanakh, the said Old Testament, then how can we think that the Levites were permitted to eat something that the people before them would not have eaten? Another question I have concerning this kind of presentation, brothers and sisters, and concerning this kind of matter is this. Where are we told that before the timing of the flood, they did not eat meat? I've conversed with this over the course of years with several people. Some have stated, and I've heard this in teachings in Israel, that from Adam all the way down to Noah, that particular 10 generational line, they did not eat meat. Please show me that in the scriptures. While some deal with Joshua, you can't go there because the book of Joshua talks about them eating meat before the timing of Noah. That was of the house of Adam. That's just a fact. All right. So now, because on this platform, as in others, a brother doesn't teach that Cain, say, was of a different kind of stock. But even if he was, brothers and sisters, where were we told that you are allowed to eat meat now? Let's go Genesis chapter 9, verse 1, brothers and sisters, and let's see what it says there. Because the person, like say the house of Jonadab that we read in Jeremiah, and they chose to honor their father and not having any alcoholic beverages, cannot be applied to everybody because everybody is not Jonadab's son. Everyone don't have that particular order and command. All right. So let's go to Genesis chapter 9, verse 1 and see. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, which we know means fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every fowl of the air. And it says, upon all that move upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh, with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. So, brothers and sisters, if we're talking about the matter of the priesthood, they would sit there and take the blood and put it on the altar when you go in Exodus and in Leviticus. But never was Israel, as in the time before Israel, the people did not, by command, eat blood. So Genesis 9 that we just read in verse 3, when it says, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. From verse 1 to verse 4, the flood is not mentioned. So to now, no disrespect intended. A lot of times when we as said Old Testament-based Israelites speak about Isaiah, the 53rd chapter, we are asked when it says, who will believe our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? That's in Isaiah 53, verse 1. A lot of times as being so-called said Old Testament-based or truly Tanakh-based, we are asked, what is the arm of the Lord? In Isaiah 53, verse 1, that question that you just asked, what or who is the arm of the Lord, is not asked. Without answering the question in verse 1 of Isaiah 53, who would believe our report? You would have to know who's talking, who is being asked if they would be believed or believing, and what is our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? Without answering those two questions, us as Tanakh-based Israelites have been asked the third question. That right there takes you away from what the scriptures itself is saying. Just the same. In Genesis 9, it says nothing from verse 1 to verse 4 about saying, due to after the situation with the flood, and now that the flood is over, I'm now going to give you flesh to eat. That's not what it states, brothers and sisters. But I can show where we can go to Genesis chapter, brothers and sisters, 7, if we will. All right? If there's any questions, please feel free to comment into the chat. Genesis 7, verse 1. And Yah said unto Noah, come down and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and the female. Now, I remember, I'm not going to pull up receipts. That's not how a person needs to do, say, in this particular case, brothers and sisters. But I remember, brothers and sisters, in this particular matter, if we will, right, that it was essentially stated, well, it doesn't matter clean or unclean because they weren't supposed to eat meat. Please show me that. Please, in the Hebrew, please, in the English, show me where it says, and I have told the people from Adam to Noah to not eat meat. Please show me that. Because if we can see that we are allowed and we were not given anything to do that they were not doing, correct me if I'm wrong. If anything, we got more laws, not less. We got things such as not marrying into family like they did before, say, the flood, if you will. But certain laws regarding, say, how you are to be clean before the Most High and not to foul yourself with X, Y, and Z thing, that has never changed. And correct me if I'm wrong. Because you can't put out, okay, if you have wine, it may make you a drunkard. That's true. Being a drunkard is not wise. But you can't take the fact that you can't have 4 cups before you become inebriated to sit there and say that somebody who could sit there and handle more than that without becoming intoxicated should be that person's law. See, your oral law, your own traditions that you created for you and your family is not to be compared and spread abroad to everybody else. That is what you call trying to be controlling. That's what you call imperialistic teachings. I'm going to control my house and yours by telling you, and this is why we wonder what happened with camps. It's because what happens is at times you try to take what is not in the book and make it a law and so forth and so on. And that's not going to be presented with nobody per se, not being self-centered, talking upon this kind of matter, if we will. This is on the channel, more Yeshaya Torah lessons, more the Yeshaya history lessons, and brothers and sisters, the Facebook page, Yeshaya Author Danite. If we are not to acknowledge Genesis chapter 7, verse 2, mentioning the matter of clean beasts and unclean beasts, or beasts that are not clean, by you diminishing that is the same way they who promote, brothers and sisters, lascivious, weird acts, for the lack of a better term, could care less whether it says male or female. See, bringing forth as a custom for Israel vegetarianism does not acknowledge the fact that the scriptures talks about clean and unclean. Bring in your own ideology. Like I personally myself don't drink wine. Yeshaya myself, I don't drink wine like that. I may have had a swig here and there, a little cup here and there, but I'm not, well, I'm going to go and get this wine, yo. That's not myself, for myself. That's, you understand what it is. But my personal choice for that, again, cannot be imposed upon others, if you will. In the house of Yonadab in Jeremiah chapter 35 knew that the one who does give laws, statutes, and commandments and ordinances is the Most High God. So I'm asking the brothers and sisters, if I can be shown, it is not to sound arrogant, in Hebrew or English, where the people were told to not eat meat. That's my question. Where were they told to not eat meat? Because when they are told about how to eat meat, they are told that they are not supposed to have the blood with it. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 4, brothers and sisters. Thank you for that. Shalom, my brother Dorayahu. Sidebar. There is a lot of busy but not bad things going on in the brother's life. So I'm not going to be online like I used to and as much during presentations. I have one coming up the 31st, this coming Sunday, on a platform called Lion's Den, promoting a brother's book. And there's going to be another one, like a history one, but I no longer do the Hebrew classes as much as such. And on Shabbat, not to get too personal, I usually just spend that time, say, at home with Lady and so forth and so on. May the Most High bless our union. So you're not going to see me having enough time to donate or devote, if I may say, not donate, sorry, devote into doing lessons. The channels are still up for those who are interested and so forth and so on. I can be reached at 908-587-4841 for those who are interested, have a question, comment, or complaint, constructive criticism, or so forth. So let's go over here to Genesis chapter 4, verse 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bore his brother Abel. Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. In the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought forth of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and his offering. But unto Cain and his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. What does it mean when it says his countenance fell? In the Hebrew, it uses the root form panim, which means his face, his countenance. He wound up having a attitude that was fallen. It wasn't uplifted. He was downtrodden and not uplifted or happy, for the lack of a better word, brothers and sisters. And that's not a good feeling to have. Brothers and sisters, do we think that Abel ate the offering? I would say, if you don't believe and what's written in Joshua, then maybe so. Because in Joshua, it says that Abel's offering was consumed by fire from the Most High from heaven in that particular case. Now, if you subscribe to Joshua, then we may say that that Abel did not eat it. But, brothers and sisters, regardless of whether Abel ate the offering that was given up by him in Genesis chapter 4, we can see the sheep is what? Is it under clean or is it under unclean? See, we cannot diminish that. And this is why I wanted to read earlier in Ezekiel when it says the priest shall cause the people to discern between what is clean and unclean. We cannot minimalize that. We cannot brush that off. We cannot dismiss that. We cannot sit there and act like that does not have any significance to what we're talking about. This is why I read earlier in Leviticus when it says concerning the children of Israel about whether or not they're doing things and eating that are clean or unclean. Now, in this captivity or exile, we know that some of the meat is not maybe even the best. And as we're learning, sadly, some of the vegetables are not even the best. But that is not what a brother has ran into when discussing things with brothers and sisters who are vegetarians. Here's some of the statements in a nutshell that has happened. Y'all going to be put to death because you're eating meat. I've seen this from the Facebook communities. You are murderers. You are evil. You're flesh eaters. So how do you explain about the food for Passover? And I was told by a vegan brother, that's when the people were going off. That's when you know that you put your camp and your teacher before the laws of the Most High God. We call it cult in so many days. When anytime your teacher, your camp, your leader, your prince, your priest, your who have you, is telling you things that are not in accordance with the laws of the Most High God, you have now been able to say you joined the cult. Because I promise you, being raised in the understanding of Israel, and this is not to sound harsh or disrespectful, when your relatives go, your prince and priests and all these other people are going to continue with their families and eating what they're eating. They'll send their condolences, say shalom and have a good night, And may your relative rest in peace. I know I experienced it with my mother. I wouldn't expect the world to stop because my mother, who raised me and understand that Israel, passed away. But at the same token, brothers and sisters, when we get into this kind of matter, do know and understand that the foundation of this is in the laws of the Most High God. So that is the point and premise we're going to end off this in this particular case. We're not even going to go but for so long in this, not to be redundant. Question. Shalom, my brother Uziel. Where can it be shown that the people were told to not eat meat in Genesis prior to the flood? Because we know that they were not supposed to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We already knew that. So it's not like they were never told what not to do. We were already told, brothers and sisters, what they did have as clean and what they did not have as clean. May seem redundant, but we're not going to be, but just wanted to point that out. To the people who say, and there are those who do say, from Genesis 1:1 unto Genesis 9 verse 3, the people did not eat meat. And maybe some did that were in the world and did, but this particular line of Adam did not. Here is my question. What righteousness did the people have, brothers and sisters, of the line of Adam, Seth, Canaan, Mahalalel, etc., all the way down into Noah? You can't, again, take your vegetarian, self-appointed choice and then apply it to the scriptures and say, that must be it right there. No, that's not what the book itself says. I don't personally, like I said, drink alcoholic beverages. Correct me if I'm wrong. The first time you read about one drinking alcoholic beverages is in the time after the flood. Does that mean that none of the people before then drank alcohol or had wine? Noah was the first person recorded in the scriptures as drinking alcohol, drinking strong drink, having wine, if you will. That doesn't mean that they did not have it beforehand. How would he have known how to have wine? How would they have known what is clean and unclean? How would they know to even have a concept of bringing up an offering? Brothers and sisters, these are things, again, we want to point out. Stop taking your own personal choices and sitting up there and trying to make it a law for everybody else. Your oral law that you put in your own head does not equate to the laws of the Most High God. So now, brothers and sisters, we pointed out in Exodus 19 that the priests that's mentioned in Exodus 19 are not the house of Aaron in that particular case. And that the priests that we read of in there, brothers and sisters, is the firstborn of Israel. In Numbers 3, when you read in your own time, the firstborn of Israel being priest was replaced with the house of Aaron being a priest. So you do see where in the scriptures where it shows a change, for the lack of a better term. Please show me where they were changing after the flood from not eating meat to eating meat. That's what we want to point out. In Genesis chapter 9, verse 3. Let's read that, if we will. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. Now, Genesis 1:29 told out my brother Yirmiyahu. Let's read, as we just read there in Genesis 9:3, and now go to Genesis 1:29, and let's see what it says. And Elohim and God said, behold, I have given you every green herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, and which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Now, when you read meat there, you do know that the word there is akla. The word akla, brothers and sisters, means from the word akal, to eat. The word flesh is not akla. The word for flesh is basar. Two different words. I want to type that in. Basar means flesh, right? Now, 129 and 9:3, we have akla. Here's the difference, brothers and sisters. The difference is this: everything that moveth shall be for you food. Do you know people take that same verse in Genesis 9:3, not understanding clean and unclean, and sit there and say, see, that's why everything is permitted to be eaten. But if the comparison in Genesis 9:3 says, even as the green herb, which is already clean, that's why we can't forget about tahor, clean. But again, if you have your own stance, and I can pull a screenshot, which I won't because it's not even the time and place for that, where a brother would say, well, it don't matter clean and unclean. Block, I can't converse with you no more. Because at that point, you no longer care about what is upright before the Most High God. You're going to sit there and tell me, well, brother, if you stop eating meat. No. Let's understand something. Meat has protein. Too much of anything can be bad. Too much milk can be bad. But it says Judah's teeth is white with milk. So when was vegetarianism or veganism ever in the culture? Because vegans will tell you to not have milk. Yet we read about having goat milk in the book of Proverbs, talking about the time of Solomon. So the synopsis in your self-appointed righteousness, because that's essentially what it is, what is now that all those people before them were all off. They all are incorrect, from Moses all the way on down. Believe it or not, that's what is taught from those who teach this vegetarianism and matter of veganism in Israel. See, they're not going to say it per se, but you got to do is go in the inbox. And then you begin to see, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not being false witness. So I'm asking, where can it be shown that the people were told to not sit there and eat meat before the timing of the flood? And brothers and sisters, if, as some say, that eating meat, is just the worst thing to do, what, and the people before then did not eat meat, then what wickedness caused the flood to happen? What were the people doing that caused the flood to happen, brothers and sisters? It says, the imagination of man is wicked from his youth up. Take yourself, or even myself as a youth, and the kind of thoughts that you or I had, and see whether or not it's based on a chicken, a lamb, a goat, a pig, or anything else. Or was it, how can I sit there and maneuver and con and get over and scam and scheme? With man's mind being wicked from his youth on up. It is taught that Cain's offering was not accepted because he didn't bring the best of the stuff. I've read that and I've heard that. I will not go so far to say that was the reason, but it can definitely be a very close reason. It wouldn't stand to not be the reason, knowing the scriptures when it says about bringing up an offering, you bring the sick and the lame and so forth. In the book of Malachi, offer that to your governor and see what if they will accept it. That's how you can tell the difference between a person with certain things. For instance, if you operate in a restaurant and you don't eat in there, I don't want to eat in there either. If you have a place for renting and everything like that, and you feel a way about it, hold on, red flag, you understand. So brothers and sisters, these are things that we care to sit there and bring out for, say, reference purposes. We're not going to be too long nor redundant, brothers and sisters, in this particular case, but just wanted to ask those couple of questions. What brought on the flood? For the wickedness of man being great, if, according to you, eating meat was not done, did their vegetarian diet stop the destruction of the world? What is the Hebrew word for vegetarian? Why did Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who, if you subscribe to the Apocrypha in the prayer of Manasseh, it says Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did not sin. He told his wife to go get a kid from the goats quickly and go prepare it. That's meat. Brothers and sisters, Abraham, who is called the Ohab of the Most High in Isaiah, the friend of the Most High, the seed of Abraham, my friend, in Isaiah 41. Brothers and sisters, ate meat. So, unless you thinking, my Israelite brother or sister, promoting vegetarianism, that there was a brand new diet that was totally oblivious to the people of the old world before the flood, then I need to be shown that. My number, I'm going to type it in. It's 908-587-4841, brothers and sisters. In that particular case, I say this in no disrespect to anything, because some people may eat bad meat that's even not unclean according to law, but is not healthy or that is rotten or so on, does not change what the law of the Most High God stated. Because many men, and it's not to castigate males, this is not a misandry, a hatred of male kind of presentation, have dropped the ball regarding marriage in Israel, regarding polygyny in Israel, does not make marriage or polygyny bad. You can't have a standard that says we cannot, in this place, have more than one wife. You cannot allow that to be taught if it's okay in the laws of the Most High. You understand? And there are some polygynous relationships that are successful and nice and good and happy and prosperous, and then there are some that are not. But you cannot take that stance because man has corrupted something to say that it's to be done away with. No, that be the case, that we may as well be done away with because we corrupted ourselves. So does that say we get rid of ourselves? No, you change yourself, Yeshsarai. You don't change the laws of the Most High like in Judaism and Talmudic stuff. We put a fence around the law. No, you don't. You don't put fences around the law. The law is perfect. You're supposed to put a fence around yourself, not the law. It's not the problem. You are. I am. We are. Not it, the doctrine itself. If you're wise, again, you're wise for yourself. Don't sit there, brothers and sisters, in closing out. Allow that which is not supported in scriptures to be taught. If you're saying the first 10 generations from Adam to Noah did not eat meat, I'm asking you to show me where that is in the scriptures. Please show me. Because even if they did not, what, no disrespect intended, is the point in that? What is that big point? Because I haven't read it in the scriptures yet. I'm not saying I've read everything, but excuse me, let's say they did not eat meat from the time of Adam until the timing of Noah, right? We already went over clean and unclean. Now what do we do? What is the point and where we go to this particular case now? Because see, all those people back then, they had their own flocks. They had their own herds. They had their own vine and fig tree. They had their own land. So you can't take the fact that we don't have, in many cases, our own land to sit there and say, well, that must mean that we shouldn't, and then try to compare it to those of the ancient world who had their own. If you're permitted to do it, there are laws that govern it, brothers and sisters. I've been asking these questions for quite some time. I need an answer. Lalato, good night.